Rain was hammering the glass towers of downtown Seattle, and inside Cresswell Tech's boardroom, you could just feel the storm pressing in from every angle. You know, the kind of tension like everyone's holding their breath, waiting for lightning to strike. Well, that was the air in that room. 30 top engineers, all legends in their own right, stood up front, eyes hollow from too many late nights, while a dozen executives sat stone-faced around the big table, not a single one daring to break the silence. At the head was Richard Cresswell himself, looking like a king about to lose his crown. Now here's the wild part. They were all stuck on one problem. Simple in theory, but unsolvable in practice. 6 months of failed attempts to build an AI logistics algorithm that could completely change how stuff gets shipped worldwide, more efficient, cheaper, maybe even greener if they got it right. But every model broke. Investors were getting twitchy, deadlines kept slipping, and the whispers in the halls were getting harder to ignore. Cresswell's hands, usually steady, now fidgeted with a pen, and you just knew if this pitch failed today, heads would roll. Meanwhile, 3 floors down, the story was very, very different. Maya Lewis, 21 years old and so far from this world of corner offices and stock options, ducked into the lobby, her hoodie dripping from the downpour outside. In one hand, she clutched a bag of Thai takeout, still steaming, and in the other, her phone with notifications lighting up mostly from her mom, worried she'd be late for night classes again. Maya wasn't an engineer. She wasn't even officially in college yet. Her whole life was a hustle, delivery jobs, side gigs, try to save enough for tuition, all with the kind of curiosity that never fit on a resume. But, sometimes life throws you a window literally. While waiting for someone to pick up the food, Maya caught a glimpse down a side hallway. There, projected huge on the wall, were live diagrams, lines of code, simulations running, red error lines flashing, a mess of chaos only an engineer could love. Maya's always been a puzzle solver since she was a kid doing logic games in the back of the class, and something about those simulation runs just itched at her brain. 20 minutes ticked by. Nobody came for the food. She finally walked up to the receptionist and asked if she could just leave it there. That's when the elevator dinged and out shuffled a junior developer, eyes red, stomach grumbling, looking like he'd aged a decade in a week. She handed over the bag, then almost without thinking blurted out, "Hey, is that simulation up there about variable node predictions?" The guy froze. Yeah, why?" She shrugged, trying to sound casual. "Your model's prioritizing high-volume intersections, but it's ignoring real-time weather and construction updates. No wonder the matrix keeps collapsing on itself." He stared like she'd just spoken Martian. Maya immediately regretted it. "Sorry, just I like puzzles. Saw it while waiting." "Forget it." He mumbled something and vanished back into the elevator. Now, up in the boardroom, right as Richard Cresswell was about to announce they'd be shelving the whole project, millions sunk, reputations on the line, that junior developer burst in, out of breath. "There's a girl downstairs," he said, voice cracking. She saw our model and spotted a core flaw we all missed. The room went silent. Then snickers. But another engineer, the skeptical kind, pulled up the code, checked the node priorities, and suddenly the laughter died. Gasps. Someone actually muttered, "How did we miss that?" An hour later, Maya, still damp from the rain and looking wildly out of place, was invited upstairs. Imagine, sneakers squeaking, hoodie still wet, notebook clutched her chest as she faced down 30 of the best engineers in the world. The CEO raised an eyebrow. "Miss Lewis, is it? You said we're missing a dynamic input filter." She swallowed. "Yes, sir. If you use a layered learning system based on environmental heuristics, your error rate drops by almost half. I can show you if you want." The engineers leaned in, curiosity overcoming their egos. Maya, hands shaking, flipped open her battered notebook, showing sketches, scribbled formulas, ideas she'd been playing with on her own time. Her voice wavered, then steadied, and as she sketched her logic on the whiteboard, not one of them interrupted. For the first time in 6 months, the simulation actually ran without crashing. The silence was so thick you could hear someone's pen rolling across the table. Richard Cresswell, the guy who always had the answer, stood up, visibly rattled. "So you're saying If we reroute through real-time, layered learning, the system adapts as it goes. Maya nodded, not trusting her voice. Not just adapts, it learns from live traffic, weather, even street closures or events. It's like giving your model a set of eyes instead of just feeding it old data. Someone ran her patch in the background, and it worked. Not only did it not crash, but with each new data input, the model got smarter. Cresswell asked, "Where do you study?" She ducked her head. I haven't yet. I'm just saving up." A pause. Then, the beginning of a grin. "You came up with this delivering lunch?" She laughed, embarrassed. "It's just how my brain works." News spread like wildfire. Within hours, investors started calling back. Tech blogs caught wind the delivery girl who saved Cresswell Tech, and Twitter lost its mind. But none of that really mattered to Maya. All she'd ever wanted was a chance. That night, as the city lights flickered on and the last raindrops fell, Cresswell called a company-wide meeting. Same boardroom, but the energy was electric. He stood there with Maya by his side. "Today, we owe our future to someone who didn't walk in with a fancy degree or a resume, just pure insight." He turned to her, voice warm. "Maya Lewis will lead our new innovation team, with a full scholarship for any school she wants." Maya could barely breathe. The engineers, all those intimidating faces from before, stood up and clapped, real respect in their eyes. In the weeks that followed, Maya's model transformed the company's AI engine. Cresswell Tech didn't just survive, it soared. And suddenly everyone was talking about the girl who turned the whole thing around. But the best part? With her first bonus, Maya didn't splurge or run off to celebrate. Instead, she started a learning hub in her neighborhood, a free space for anyone who was curious but didn't have access. Kids, teens, even adults. Anyone with a spark. See, that's the thing. In a world obsessed with titles and credentials, sometimes genius comes from the quiet corners, from the people who are just watching, waiting for their shot. All it took was one bold moment, a question asked in the middle of an ordinary day, and the courage to step through a door most people would have walked right by. And maybe that's the real lesson here. Maybe the next big breakthrough isn't going to come from where we expect. Maybe it'll be from someone like Maya, no title, no fancy office, just raw, relentless curiosity and the guts to speak up. So what do you think? Was Maya just lucky, or is there something broken in the way we judge talent? If you were in that boardroom, would you have listened? Or would you have laughed like everyone else, missing the moment that changed everything? Let's hear it. What would you do if a complete outsider showed up and rewrote the rules? Does genius need a diploma, or is there something more? Drop your thoughts below, because this debate about who gets a shot at greatness, well, it's just getting started.